My name is Adam Clausen, and I'm currently serving 213 years for a string of robberies I committed way back in February of 2000. Back then, I was really just an impulsive, irresponsible, immature 24-year-old kid. I didn't really have any direction, no sense of purpose, and I honestly had no idea of who I was. I was a mess. After I was sentenced, I was sent to a United States penitentiary out in Pennsylvania, USP Allenwood. Literally 5 minutes after getting there, I walked onto the compound. One of the guys on the unit, I walked in, pulled me up, filed him into his cell, and I started my time off in the penitentiary, smoking a joint, helping them bag up homemade wine hooch, and really having no idea what the heck I was going to do with all my time. I basically picked up right where I left off on the outside. And, the question that everybody asks me now is, how did I manage to become the person I am today, considering where I came from? What led me not only to prison, but really how I started out even living, inside of prison. And above all else, I can point to the one thing that has been the most instrumental in my personal transformation has been that, I've really got all the love and support that I needed all along the way. Probably what was the most pivotal moment in my journey that led to where I am right now was the day that I got my final appeal back. Both literally and figuratively, it was, there was a sense of finality there. And I had to make a decision. When I read, it was literally a one-page, one-line response to my last appeal. It said it had been denied. The Supreme Court denied it. And that meant that there were no more appeals. Basically, all my options were out. This was early. This was, 5 years in to a 213-year sentence. So I really needed to spend some time figuring out, what I was going to do with my life. And it was in that moment that I made a pivotal decision. And again, I can trace that back to the fact that, I had people that were still willing to support me, despite everything I was going through, despite, where I was. And, that was a big turning point for me. Something else that was definitely pivotal in my personal transformation was that I kind of happened upon fitness. Everybody in prison works out. It's just part of the routine. For a lot of guys, it's a way to pass time. It's definitely a great way to relieve stress. And for me, I really discovered that it was a passion of mine. I'd always been active as a kid, but I probably didn't know any of the technical stuff behind working out or different fitness regimens. And, having the time in prison to focus on that and having some of those resources made available to me.
This call is from a federal prison.
That really allowed me to explore that passion and eventually to meet up with the right people on the inside that had the skills and the knowledge that I was also seeking to acquire. And I'm very, very grateful that they gave me the opportunity to work with them, and they gave me an opportunity to start some fitness classes in here. One person in particular, a friend of mine, guy Kevin McTaggart, had already been down for a number of years, was well established, well liked, extremely respected, And he was the one that came to me and said, I see that you're really into fitness, and we're looking to start another class, and I want to know if, maybe you'd like to be a part of it. And that opened the door to what would become basically a decade-long exploration of, not only learning about the technical side of fitness, but being able to work with a multitude of individuals and using the skills that I acquired to really help other guys, find the outlet that many of them were searching for and didn't previously have. So it was very rewarding. It was a fulfilling experience for me. I'm really grateful to have had such an incredible mentor to really show me the ropes and to lead me along every step of the way. And throughout that process, my peers came to know me as sort of a fitness guru, which is very flattering. But it was also a great deal of responsibility that I felt to live up to. So it was sort of it was a reinforcement of not only what I was doing, but it encouraged me to actually lead an even more healthy and balanced life than I was leading. I started eating even healthier because guys were asking me nutrition questions, making sure that my sleep habits were good, and started incorporating, a lot more holistic health stuff like yoga and meditation and starting to see, the interconnectedness of all these things and being able to pass those on to other guys. So as I was, able to grow and develop and really help myself, a big part of that was being able to help others. And I discovered that was a big part of my purpose. I still wasn't sure, what that whole purpose was, but I knew that I was on the right track. However, over the course of that 9 years that I was in Allenwood, I had to, as I made the decision to really, pursue a more positive path, to stick with the health and fitness, to try and help others. In order to have space for that stuff in my life, I had to make that space. I had to remove a lot of the unhealthy things, not just the unhealthy habits that I, initially brought in there or maintained while I was in there, but it was also people. There were people that I had to let go of, both on the inside and on the outside, because they weren't supporting who I was trying to become. That was probably the most difficult aspect. You're in prison and you don't have a lot of connections to the outside, and to sever any of those ties, that's it's a pretty brave move. But thankfully I did, what I needed to do to move forward and to really focus on myself. I mean, it became a deeply introspective journey for me that basically incorporated everything that I was doing with health and fitness into part of my spiritual exploration as well. Many of the things that I was doing, like the yoga, there's a spiritual component to that. And I really wanted to focus on making sure that I was happy, healthy, whole, balanced, despite the fact that I was in prison. I wasn't going to allow that environment to entirely dictate, how I was going to act on a daily basis. Don't get me wrong, it definitely influenced, many of my decisions and inhibited certain aspects of my personal growth and development. But I was able to accomplish a lot more than I ever thought possible under those circumstances. And again, it comes back to, my family, my friends, my loved ones, that were there to support me throughout that. And that's on a multitude of levels. You know, my relationship throughout that period with my parents actually became better than it had ever been before. And I guess part of that was, you know, the finality of my sentence, of there not being any other options available at that time, caused us to have some very serious conversations, you know, end-of-life conversations like, you know, hey, if anything happens to you, I'm not going to be able to be there. So, you know, what do we need to talk about? You know, what things haven't been said yet? And I feel incredibly fortunate to have had those conversations and to have developed, you know, such close, such a connection to both of my parents that
This call is from a federal prison.
I was able to learn things about each of them that I don't think under any other circumstance I would have learned. We wouldn't have had those conversations. So that definitely meant a lot to me. It meant a lot to me that they not only stayed with me, but that our relationships both grew tremendously throughout that period. Eventually, you know, after 10 years into my sentence, I was finally transferred to a medium security facility. And it was definitely a surprise because under the standards that they had set, I wasn't eligible. I wasn't even considering such a move, and it all happened very, very quickly. There was a change in procedure, change in status, and I was approved. I came to a medium security, and it was a whole new environment. Much less stress. There's trees. I'm still in awe of, you know, the different aspects of the compound. To see trees and bushes and flowers, those are things you don't see in a penitentiary. There's not a whole lot of life, and just being exposed to that on a daily basis set a whole different tone. Unfortunately, for me, I had spent so much time on the introspection, you know, while I was in the penitentiary, and that had actually made me quite introverted, and I had to learn all over again how to become more social. And in a twist of fate, so to speak, the same individual that had gotten me into health and fitness got me my first class there at Allenwood. My mentor, Kevin McTaggart, here he was, just happened to be at this facility, waiting for me when I arrived. And I just can't even imagine how I would have made the transition without his assistance, because it was a process and it was tough. It was much more difficult than I cared to admit. The social aspects for me to really become social again. Since arriving at a medium security facility, there have been a number of things, a number of different programs that I've gotten involved in that helped me to get back into the mainstream, to become a bit more social, and to really get back into more, I guess, of a group atmosphere of learning, as opposed to being so isolated, doing, you know, everything on my own, spending all that time in a book. And even though I was working with people in fitness classes, there was still, I guess, a sense of detachment. When I got here, it took about a year for me to really adjust. And throughout that period, as I said, I was very fortunate to have the same person that got me started with the health and fitness classes. helping me make the transition here to a medium security facility, because he had already been down at a medium for a number of years and had been very successful in making that transition himself. So once again, I looked to his guidance, and after I got settled in, I was invited by one of the assistant wardens to participate in a life coaching program that she was starting. And at the time, it was something that I had kind of heard about, but I really wasn't clear about what life coaching really was. So when I stopped and spoke to her about it, she got very excited. She was very animated and invited me to participate in this group. It was a small group of 10 guys. And I got to admit that I was really reluctant to get involved because I had been doing it on my own for so long. As I said, I had become so introverted. The circle of people that I had on the outside and in here was very, very small, and I wasn't sure if I was ready to open that up, to let other people in. But I'm grateful that I did. I got involved with the program, and from day one, she did a demonstration of what coaching was with one of the guys in the group, and I immediately saw the value in it. I was a little scared. I knew that it was going to be a journey for us as a group, and I didn't know any of the guys in that group at the time. But I'm grateful that I chose to stay with it. And that one group opened the door to a number of other social circles, different groups, different departments. I had never even been inside the education department. I had been here a year and never been down in the school area. So I was, meeting new people, discovering new places, new things, and almost immediately I was invited to fill an opening that had come in the Inside Out project, which is Inside Out project is originally through Temple University. They came up with a program design in conjunction with Graterford Prison that allowed college students to come into a prison and work with inmate students in a collegiate academic environment. And that was brought here by a professor at the University of Pittsburgh at Bradford.
This call is from a federal prison.
Criminal justice professor's name is Tony Gaskew, former DEA agent turned professor. Obviously, I was a little apprehensive about being in a classroom with him. Wasn't sure what this guy's motives were. But the experience of being in a room with other college students was really transformative for me. For the first time, I really, I guess I came to understand or come to accept that I was smart. As a kid, I had been told that, but around the people that I, went to school with when I was younger, I never felt very smart. And I think that definitely influenced, the way that I took school. As when I was a kid, I didn't pay much attention. I wasn't really interested in it, and for the first time, school became, classroom setting became fun for me. it was a great experience, and it really changed my perception. I think it did the same. I know it did the same for all of the other inmates who were a part of that class. Most of the guys who were in that life coaching class were also in this college class. They both ran a course of about 16 weeks, a little bit longer possibly. And throughout that period, I became very close to all those individuals. Got to know them on a personal level. We became really a support network for one another. It was an incredible experience, and it got me, it not only shifted my perception, but it really got me thinking about all the possibilities. What else? What else could I accomplish while I was in here? It wasn't long before a number of other opportunities presented themselves. One of those was an invitation to become or to participate in part of our institution's reentry council. That reentry council is a monthly meeting of all the department heads with a number of inmates who facilitate the reentry programs here inside the facility. I was invited to sit in and listen and participate in one of those meetings. And while I was there, the same associate warden who had started the life coaching program and invited me to participate in that suggested that I explore the possibility of starting a group specifically for the lifers that were on this compound. At the time, I believe there was about 30 inmates at this medium security facility serving life sentences who had worked their way down in custody, and she wanted to make sure that all of us had, the support that we needed, that we had some shared experiences, that, we could be there for one another. I wasn't too sure on how that was going to work, but as we got together and started meeting, I was able to organize and coordinate that. And for those who chose to participate, it quickly became apparent that all of us, when we began discussing about what we were going to do as a group, all of us had this deep desire to somehow give back. Each of us had someone who had someone or someones.
This call is from a federal prison.
Who had strongly influenced us and helped us to get to where we were at that point. And we wanted to be able to do the same for a lot of these younger guys. Most of us, have been down a number of years, a little bit older, had some experiences that, we wanted to share. Initially, it started out that the thought was we were going to do a mentoring program. Well, keep in mind at the same time, I'm participating in this life coaching program. And as I started to acquire those skills and learn more about coaching, it was a no-brainer. That mentoring program evolved into a coaching program that is now running consistently, developing leaders within this environment and equipping each of them with basically what are enhanced interpersonal skills that will allow each of those coaches to have a positive impact on everyone within their circle of influence, whether it's in here or on the outside. And that, to me, the more that I got involved in that, putting that program together and really taking the lead facilitation of that, I discovered that was my purpose. That's what I was really called to do. It seems kind of ironic to discover my purpose while I'm in prison and to have an opportunity to fulfill it. So I've been very fortunate to be a part of that program, to have been given the opportunity to develop it, to train all these other men in leadership and life coaching. And that program has opened the door to further coaching certifications. That original group that started out with the associate warden, the core group, eventually each of us became certified life coaches through the Institute for Life Coach Training. And that was all fully funded and supported by the Institute, specifically by Dr. Ellen Ritter, who is the current owner and Dean of Students there, as well as Dr. Patrick Williams, who's the founder of the International Coaching Federation. The two of them have been integral to the development of our program and to what we hope will be eventually a nationwide expansion of this program, of the model that has been created here. That's really one of my chief aspirations, is to help spread that program, to make sure that coaching, is adopted at other facilities and utilized the same way that we've been able to utilize it here. We have a number of men who are currently in the process of also working towards that eventual certification. And although the certification, obviously that opens the door to career possibilities outside of prison, again, my chief focus at this point is to focus my attention and to make sure that all the men in the program are utilizing those skills that they're now acquiring within this community, that they're helping their peers meet their reentry goals. Every 2 weeks, we do admissions and orientation because a new busload of 30-plus guys comes in here to this facility. That's my opportunity to reach out and connect with every individual who comes into this facility. I feel like I have the ability to make an impact.
I'm extremely grateful to have an opportunity to engage and connect, at least on some level, with almost every individual inmate inside this facility. And what's made that possible is that about every 2 weeks, a busload of individuals comes in, approximately 30 to 40 guys, new guys come onto the compound, and the following week we do what's called A&O, admissions and orientation. And each of the department heads throughout the facility, the staff members come in and give a presentation on what their departments have to offer and what the expectations are for all the new arrivals. And at the end of that morning session, I have an opportunity to get up and address the group. And it's at that time where I'm able to put my life coaching skills to use, and I try and make as much of an impact on these individuals and let them know that whatever they want to do with their time, however long they're going to be here, whether it's 30 days, 30 months, 30 years, that I'm offering myself and all of the other coaches in our program are also available to sit down with them and help them develop a plan on how they're going to make the most of their time, how they're going to do something productive with it, and hopefully make this a meaningful experience, not only for them, but for all their loved ones on the outside who are supporting them throughout this. And I let these guys know that, my reason for being involved in this A&O and trying to connect with them as soon as they get to this facility is because I wish somebody would have done that for me when I first came in, when I was 18 years old and I did my time in the state. There was no one there to really guide me, help get me on the right path, and make that a meaningful experience. And I believe that's what led me back to prison, because although I acquired some skills and learned quite a bit while I was on the inside, I never really developed a plan. I had no idea what I was going to do with my life once I got out. I kept thinking that all I needed to do was just make it to that day, the day of my release, and I'd get out the door and somehow miraculously everything would be all right. That's just not how it works. Most of the guys that come through A&O, they know this. They're not first-time offenders. They're recidivists, just like me, and they already know what doesn't work. What we try and offer them is an opportunity to explore new possibilities on other alternatives that, we think have a much greater chance of success.
This call is from a federal prison.
When I address that group, when I get to speak at A&O, I'm speaking on behalf of a reentry team that we have here at McKean that's comprised of primarily guys who are in the coaching program who feel that it's our purpose, our calling to help guys, through this process, through their transformation, their personal transformation. Just as, we've had other individuals who've helped us along the way. Some of the practices that we've been able to implement is we established a core curriculum of cognitive behavioral therapy programs. And those are all facilitated by us. There's staff involvement on every one, but there's a different level of credibility that we have amongst our peers, because they know when we speak about our experiences, we've been through it. They live with us, they know us, and they know what we're saying is true. Like, we can't BS them, because they see us every day, and they see how we live, and as a result, they're more receptive to us. The programs that we put together, basically in order, are the first one we have. It's called True Colors. It's a personality assessment test that basically helps guys to learn a little bit more about their personality type and how they best communicate with others. The second one is a Setting Intentions, which is a basic goal-setting class, short, midterm, long-term goals to help guys, really establish some definitive goals on how they want to do their time and the things that they want to accomplish, and make a commitment to those things. The next one is New Beginnings. New Beginnings is a curriculum that's based on belief systems and examining what your beliefs are and helping to figure out if you want to alter those beliefs, if you want those to evolve to fit more in line with your current values, helping you develop the habits to incorporate those. The last part of that core CBT program is called Catalyst. Catalyst is an intentional living or intentional life design program that's really based on the principles of the law of attraction, which means whatever you focus on expands. So if you're going to remain focused on the positive, you're going to see a lot more positive things come into your life. And that's what we try and do. We try and take everything from a positive, strength-based approach and help guys really get more of what they do want in their lives instead of focusing on all the negative aspects, because, most of us have been told our whole lives the things that we're not good at and all of our shortcomings, we've had those pointed out numerous times. But we want to focus on the strengths. We want to focus on all those positive aspects and really support each of these individuals who's committed to, to personal growth and evolving during their time here. Obviously, there's also, in addition to those core programs, all of the previously mentioned coaching segments of our curriculum as well. And each of the men who choose to go into the coaching program have to first complete those core cognitive behavioral therapy programs. And we have a multitude of other programs as well those are just the primary ones that we really try and focus on and make sure that everyone has access to, because we believe that they're an integral part of what we're trying to promote here, of the larger cultural change that
This call is from a federal prison.
that we've been fortunate to be a part of over the last few years here. And we're trying to keep building on that momentum that's already been created and keep that going forward. I still have a passion for also, all things health and fitness related. And that's something that I still devote a great deal of time to throughout each week. I'm fortunate to have those classes going. Those rotate on a quarterly basis, and I get 30 to 60 new guys in there, and that's another opportunity for me to reconnect with guys that I haven't been able to connect with in any of the other programs. I get a different approach. As I said, everybody in here is interested in health and fitness, and sometimes, that's the doorway. That's the way for me to better connect and start looking at a more holistic approach to life design and to helping people get onto a more healthy, happy track. I love what I'm doing, all of this, every aspect of it. As I said, I feel so incredibly fortunate to have found not only my purpose while in prison, but to have been given the opportunity to actually live it. And, it's incredibly fulfilling. And I don't believe any of it would have ever been possible had it not been for all the love and support that I received every step of the way. And what I am now committed to doing is, this is my opportunity to give back. I've been doing it here on a micro scale, and I'd like to do it on a much larger scale outside of here. I'm hopeful that at some point in the not too distant future, I'll be able to take all the knowledge and experience that I've gained over the past almost 20 years incarcerated, and I'll be able to utilize that to help institute, radical reform throughout the entire criminal justice system, because I believe it's desperately needed. I know that a lot of the things we're doing here right now are working, but I know that we can do a lot more. And I know that this is just a start. Much more needs to be done, especially focused on the outside. And I'm looking forward to being a part of that. And, I'm going to continue doing everything that I'm doing now up until that point. And in the faith that at some point when I leave, there'll be a structure that's established here that, will continue to operate, long after I'm gone, and someone else will be able to step up and take my place and do the same thing. And that's the legacy that I would like to leave.